All right, we are live on multiple channels. We're live on Transparency and Merit, the
Oh,
YouTube.
that's a good thing. Live.
Live, yes, live on Transparency and Merit. The YouTube channel is Transparency and Merit and Inflammatory Talk. And we are live on our X channels, Walk Against the Woke, Mr. Midnight Movie, which is Walk Woke, Mr. Midnight Movie, and Transparency and Merit X channel. So more than one. So Joey, I'm going to play the Schmuckelstein here. Real smug. This was a little bit after the September 6th, and we're more divided than we have ever been. We do not have a shared reality, and I've said this before. All wars are economic, and you said it before. The pen is mightier than the sword.
It is,
and
I still believe that.
And the dollar is more powerful than the gun.
Intimidation and all these other fear factors all fall by the wayside. None of them can beat truth. None of them will go beyond truth. Truth wins every time.
Well, true, yeah, but the thing is, it takes time, and you have to really control your anger. So let me show
that's why pacifism is so important.
Yeah.
And you want to put an end to any war, any conflict. But let's go.
Well, yeah, for the most part, yes.
For all part.
Okay. Well, we might,
in my view.
I just want to show you the Schmuckelstein. This is a wake-up call for Republicans.
Yes.
And this guy makes me want to be, he makes fascism sound good. But let's play the Schmuckelstein.
This is a wake-up call for Republicans. America elected Joe Biden by over 7 million votes, and you're confused because you didn't.
No, he said he got over 8 million, 81 million votes, and maybe he did. I'm not saying that he didn't, but I have my doubts. And this guy is a Schmuckelstein.
Yes.
To his rallies and cheer his smackdowns like we were at a pro wrestling event during a global pandemic. We don't wear matching hats or have no more malarkey flags waving from the backs of our trucks. Do you know why? Because Biden is not our tribal warlord. We believe the job of a U.S. president is to represent more than one interest group. That's why 81 million of us turned out to stop a narcissistic personality cult that embodies all 7 of.
Now, a lot of people believe that the woke are a narcissistic cult. A lot of them have cluster B personality disorders. And talk of a narcissist, look at this dude. You can just smell the narcissism on him. It's like the pot calling the kettle black, sir. Let's continue.
Sins, most of all pride, which you've taken to levels of blasphemy, claiming your political leaders are handpicked by Jesus Christ. This country is called the United States, and we have multiple converging crises that need adult supervision. But we are being distracted, trying to get control over a critical mass of you who no longer.
You treat people like adults the way you're talking? Give me a break.
Believe in reality, who've been hypnotized to fear a Joe Biden presidency whenever you hear the trigger words, radical socialist. Never mind that Biden is backed by America's billionaires.
Anyway, I'll get in. Yes, he is backed by America's billionaires, and the billionaires are culturally captured woke leftists. Let's continue.
Depend on corporate capitalism, so your cognitive dissonance is staggering, but understandable, because the most sophisticated mass media tools ever created have eviscerated your powers of discernment, and there's a gold rush.
I could say the same about you. Probably your college education has, again, this person doesn't want a dialogue. He wants to lecture you. He wants you to sit down and shut up. He is a complete and utter moral authoritarian. Have you seen? Now, you ran into a guy like this today on a mask, right, Joey?
Oh, yeah, this guy was a real creeper, and he he was clearly there to incite a problem that wasn't there. It was pretty unbelievable what happened right before my eyes. I watched it all go down right in front of me, and so there was like no denying it. This guy was completely crazy. He started a verbal fight with my dad, and it was crazy, absolutely absurd. And he was wearing a full-on mask that covered his whole face, not just part of it, like a Halloween mask.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so strange and bizarre, and you know, got to keep your eyes open. Your eyes it's all around you. Your eyes should be open to it now. It's all around you.
Well, Joey, I'll say the one thing about Matthew Cook. The billionaire class have been culturally captured, and they do support Biden, and they support a lot of leftist policies. A lot of them are culturally captured, and they control much of the banks. And for whatever reason, and I don't know, like I have ideas on how we can fight the left on an economic, because these people basically, they are there to do you harm if you disagree with them. And I'll get into things later, like about how the Hollywood blacklist and how that was actually a response to their blacklist first. But let's continue. Let's continue. Let's continue with this Schmuckelstein.
On slinging alternative facts, making millions for opportunists who've taken you for quite a ride. But you need to wake up now and start the deprogramming. The election was not stolen. All that proof.
That's what I think I am. I consider myself to be a deprogrammer. I'm no longer a researcher. I found foundational truth, and I think I've hit rock bottom. And now I consider myself a deprogrammer. Let's go on.
Cases and duffel bags of discarded ballots. It's all been debunked. All the affidavits claiming widespread fraud have been thrown out. Over 60 lawsuits contesting the election in Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Nevada, Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, Republican states. Many of the cases overseen by Republican and Trump-appointed judges. 61 cases tossed out. Trump's hack attorneys are being sued or are under threat of disbarment. That's consistent with the countless criminal prosecutions of many former Trump associates. But the PR stunt worked on the tens of millions of Americans primed for mass hysteria.
The riots were mass hysteria. The protests, the George Floyd protest and the pandemic, there was a lot of mass hysteria there. So there's a lot to go around, Matthew.
You succumbed to Salem witch trial levels of mental lapse, believing our elections were stolen based on spectral evidence. Dreams.
Well, here's the deal. We had to stay in our homes, and then and we told many of us couldn't even go to work. And then there was a whole George Floyd incident, and there were protests. So they were allowed to go out of their homes and protest. And even Dr. Fauci said nothing about it. He didn't know, or he was in favor of these protests, that if they wore masks. What a bunch of ridiculousness. So you see these double standards right in your face, and then you think that the establishment is not against you? Give me a break, Matthew. There's reason to believe, Biden got more votes than anybody in history. And again, these riots and other things that were happening while the left was basically supporting this. And it looked like, by the way, mass formation psychosis and real woke cluster B behavior. Continue.
About Krakens, which are make-believe. It's time to wake up now. Black Lives Matter is not a terrorist organization any more than Martin.
They sure did act. A lot of times they did act like a terrorist organization. And one of the leaders said that we are trained Marxists. What about that? Continue on.
Luther King Jr. was a terrorist, or Gandhi, or Nelson Mandela.
Nelson Mandela was a terrorist. He did terrorist activities. Whether you agree with him or not, he still did terrorist activities. He was not nonviolent.
Peaceful protests and strikes and boycotts. That's how a society creates change.
It wasn't all peaceful.
Without violence, everybody reasonable knows that violence and looting and murder are wrong and counterproductive to a peaceful society. That's why everybody reasonable condemns militarized cops executing citizens over cigarettes, cell phones.
Oh, now it brings up the I forget the guy's name who died over the cigarettes, but this guy was told multiple times, and he was selling cigarettes in front of a building, undercutting their business, and no wonder businesses are leaving places. Joey, you saw when I was getting my medication, you were at the store and you saw people run out and just.
Well, it was one guy, and he basically just brazenly took items and just walked right out the door, and the woman working there had nothing. She's like basically yelled like, "Don't come back," or something like.
He'll come back to steal again.
Yeah.
And basically, the shelves are bare. Thank you, Matthew. Your words mean nothing. You're such a schmuck. Look at that face. You're so much better than us. Give me a break. You know what? You're not making people like you. You're making people despise you. We are divided for a reason. You are despised and disliked for a reason.
Jogging, walking, sleeping, resisting execution.
Oh, what a hyperbolic statement. What a hyperbolic statement. Continue.
What Black Lives Matter has been protesting. This isn't a partisan issue. It's the largest civil rights movement in the history of the nation. You need to wake up now. If you join Black Lives Matter, then all lives will matter.
Hogwash. That's another assumptive statement and hyperbolic statement. Oh, God, Matthew, where do you think you're going with this hogwash?
Helps you understand it better. Shut your eyes. Say to yourself, "My life matters. Black lives matter." If we unite,
you can't unite with leftists. You can't unite with them. Try it. You can't unite with those people.
There's hope. We can end the savage practice of imprisoning millions of people for the crime of being black.
Oh, God. You actually believe that? This is such propaganda. This is such hyperbolic, foolish propaganda.
Or brown, or poor. Atoning for and correcting the mistakes of our ancestors does not mean the next logical step is white genocide. Unless you think the legitimate purpose of the criminal justice is to protect white supremacy like it has up until this moment.
Oh, God, you're saying such hogwash. Where do you come up with this crap? Joey, do you have anything to add? All right.
What's your underlying premise?
Yeah, I didn't have anything to add to this guy.
You just doxed yourself and you need conversion therapy. Time to wake up.
I've never waved a Confederate flag, but he's into doxing, that's for sure. You should be. If you believe in doxing for people that wave a Confederate flag, you need to be doxed.
There's no national Antifa network pretending to be fascist Trump supporters who want civil war. Antifa are anti-fascists.
You know, I'm sure the people that are World War II veterans never would have sided with the degenerates that call themselves Antifa. These people are vile degenerates who are violent. Oh, you make me sick already.
only exist right now because there are fascist Trump supporters threatening civil war.
No, they attack people if they express their views. They attack freedom of speech, both economically and physically. Try wearing a Trump hat anywhere in a blue city.
Inspired by the official Republican platform, which doesn't have anything in it other than clinical paranoia. Re-educating you to believe there's a conspiracy to seize your guns and gender identity at the same time, so you're so disoriented you can't defend yourself against a mass immigrant invasion threatening your livelihood. Come on.
Look at the border now. This guy is so out of I mean, look, this was 3 years ago. Look what's going on right now. It's so vile. It's so disgusting. You're so out of touch, Matthew.
The real danger came from putting a recklessly uneducated man with a personality disorder in the White House.
Look in the mirror. You want to see a personality disorder? Perhaps you should look in the mirror.
Who spent his one catastrophic term branding America's democratic cities enemies of the country while taking credit.
Those have become hellholes. Thank you, Matthew.
For economic growth rates he inherited from a Democrat. He and his Republican Senate, under the smokescreen of your disassociation from reality and the brand name Drain the Swamp, filled the cabinet with profiteers like themselves. Billionaires made $1 trillion while they gutted our State Department, our FBI, our CIA, our DHS, our post office. Whatever Trump touched, he wrecked. They attacked our U.S. education system. They tore down the minimal regulations that we have protecting America's water and air. They turned
give me a break.
Our already abysmal borders into a human rights crisis. They smeared America's top scientists and doctors, our healthcare system. They attacked.
There needs to be hearings on the this pandemic. There needs to be hearings, and there needs to be hearings on the riots too. The riots and the pandemic, we need to have hearings, and they, you know, I would love to see our government really go after these people and just hammer them.
Entire U.S. media, their willful incompetence has been so destructive. The USA is the epicenter of the worst pandemic in 100 years. Hundreds of thousands of us are dead. Millions are hungry and struggling to survive. And their final act was a massive campaign to try to sabotage the bedrock upon which we stand, American democracy itself.
Well, we're not a democracy. We're a constitutional republic, I guess, which is a democracy as well.
This is on you, the Republican Party. The majority of white America elected a man whose business model is lying, who demands total obedience, while swindling and eventually turning on all of his employees and followers after years of abuse. You elected a perfect cult leader. Our enemies are ecstatic. Our allies are horrified because of the suicidal Republican ideology of opposing any limits on gluttony and greed. What was once...
What a hyperbolic, myopic statement.
A beacon of hope all over the world, American democracy, is no longer a given. Your right-wing leaders and shouting heads, they're not going to stop clawing their way down a bottomless pit of excuses.
And also, you know, I want to mention that Europe has been flooded with violent immigrants who have been violating the female citizens there. And we can't even say that. There are certain things we can't even say on YouTube because of the restrictions. And I think even the restrictions on X, which they got to remove, because again, these people, by the way, they are with the Muslim grooming gangs more than they are with the people who speak out against the Muslim grooming gangs in the UK. I'm just saying, this is, as far as worldwide goes, this guy, I would ask this guy a few questions and I would get him in a verbal arm bar, which he couldn't get out of.
Continue profiting off of selling you a virtual alternate reality made up of false accusations and revenge fantasies, giving you a persecution complex they won't stop feeding no matter how many of you are driven right off the deep end. Any citizen of the United States continuing to fall for it Some of you thinking of taking up arms against the strongest military power on earth. Others making excuses for these terrorists because you share the same beliefs. You're delusional. You don't have a political party anymore. Come back to reality. January 6th, 2021. That was your come to Jesus moment. Armed insurgents threatened to hang the vice president, kill the Speaker of the House. They dragged a cop down a flight of stairs and brutally beat another with an American flag. They killed police. A suicidal
I heard that they did not kill police.
non-follower gave her life trying to break into the House chamber. For what? The most significant terror attack on our country since 9/11 happened because Republican radicals believe.
Now, all this being said, the president they tried to assassinate former President Trump. And I also want to mention, during the Portland riots, there was a Trump supporter or a person, I guess he wasn't part of the Proud Boys. He was part of Patriot Prayer, and he was blown away. And you know what the people in Portland did? The Antifa members, they cheered. We are divided for a reason. And we're divided because this person doesn't see it. How vicious they are, how vile they are, how nasty they are, and how disgusting some of them are with their behavior. He doesn't even acknowledge it. If you only see one side of it, you're very myopic. And I'm not going to listen to you, buddy. Because already, and I guarantee you, there's not going to be a Q&A. He'd never have a Q&A session.
Democrats are Satan-worshiping pedophiles who stole their country, and they'd rather die than lose the protection of their leader. Defending truth and democracy and equality for
Give me a break.
people
Well,
against any tyranny, foreign and domestic, is the only thing that unites us and protects our freedoms. That's why Trump is being held accountable for his crimes, along with every congressperson, every official, every officer who conspired or continues to wage a mass deception campaign to overthrow American democracy, especially under the threat of violence. The First Amendment protects our right to express ourselves without fear of arrest. The right to free speech does not include threats of violence, and it certainly does not grant the authority to force media platforms to broadcast single-party hate propaganda that claim only its members are the real America. For the former Republican Party, who call themselves patriots, this is your wake-up call. Your nightmare of a brainwashed, radical, anti-American movement trying to destroy the country was you.
Well, Joey, that was Matthew Cook. Any response to this Schmuckelstein?
well, I'm not a fan of the Patriots at all. I think they've missed the mark by a mile, and so I guess that may be one item out of this guy's repertoire that I actually sort of agreed with. But when you have that many issues or aspects of your thought, of your thinking, and your ego on the line, and you come off like that, hell no.
My thing is, I wouldn't necessarily call myself a patriot, but
No.
I really I loathe the left. I loathe it because they speak with forked tongue. They are the biggest hypocrites. And to me, hypocrisy is abuse, and hypocrites are abusers. And I might just play. I'm going to play.
Many times, also, it's what they don't tell us that's the key, and it's hard to tell because it gets hidden in all their other agenda. But it's certainly a mind game, and who's bringing common sense to the table. And I declare, all the candidates are bought and sold, and to the point where there is no common sense. And who wants common sense anyways. Yeah, I think we just want self-governing might be the best answer. All right.
Yeah, and that is
Well,
certainly
a situation where people are at least practicing the ideas of governance and implementing it into their lives again, and stop putting your hands on other people's shoulders just to get by, and stop with the cronyism and stop with the bullshit. You use your own head, use your own government. Okay, there we go.
And, as I said before, the title of the show is "The Pen is Mightier Than the Sword." And
that's because there are there's letters that you can write. There are strategies. There are letters that can counteract the devices that have been used against us for generations now. So, and speaking with your wallet.
Yeah, and that's one of the main things. And basically, a lot of these people are, they need to understand lawfare, because I think there's a lot of lawfare that's been used, and just a number of other things that have been done. I try to find. I'm just bear with me here, folks.
What are you trying to look for?
I'm trying to look for. Do you have any of my messages that I sent you, Joey?
From when?
From today. From yesterday.
Maybe.
Oh, sorry.
What in the world? What is going on? What are you looking for?
Sorry here. I'm just.
That's okay.
Well, the pen is more mightier than the sword. This is a proverb that suggests ideas, words, and communication have greater impact than violence or brute force. The truth is, the pen can bring violence. And
sure,
the dollar is more powerful than the gun. This tradition of saying, but it conveys similar sentiments that economic influence is often more powerful than any kind of violence that you can do. If you can destroy somebody economically, if you can tax them, if you can put litigation against them, it's more powerful a lot of times than a gun and than a firearm. And one of the things that the patriots fail to realize is that, when Matthew said that Biden is with the billionaire class, the billionaires many of them have been culturally captured by the left, and they control the economy. And this is a fight that must be done economically. The Bud Light model was the perfect model, and we got to do more things with regards to economics. We can do it peacefully. And there are a lot of people that are against the woke left and the midwit culture. They're against it. So I think if we choose to strategize intelligently and with smarts, we can build a successful resistance movement. Joey, anything to say before I play us out in a song?
No, I think we're good. Let's play that song.
This is called Economic Anthem.
What's up, Scott? Good. I feel like I've been hanging out with Scott all week. He comes to any show I'm on, which is incredible. Thank you, Scott.
Scott, you're amazing.
You're amazing, even though you look like you're an Antifa and you eat yogurt all day.
And I want to say that on Scott's Scott's profile picture, he's wearing a mask. Also, Scott one time, Scott one time told me, because I told him I'd like to do a show where I go ham on him, and he said that I was sick and demented, which might be true. Okay, this is an economic anthem right here. Here we go, economic anthem. Here we go for the song. I hope Scott hates it. It's electro pop. But the dollar has a louder voice. Economic shape our choices. From the markets to the mall, in the boardroom where we call. Every handshake is a deal. Currency is what we feel. All wars are economic. Money talks, it's symphonic. Cultural wars and trading schemes. Cash flows through our dreams. The gun may fire every round, but the dollar conquers towns. Deals and bonds, they pull the strings. Corporate power fuels the keys. In the chaos of the night, trade is the invisible fight. Merging giants and divide. We can't escape the dollar's tide. All wars are economic. Money is talks, it's symphonic. Cultural wars and trading schemes. Cash flows through our dreams. All wars are economic. Money is talks, it's symphonic. Cultural wars and trading schemes. Cash flows through our... All right, guys, like and subscribe. Leave a comment down below if you gain anything from it. Thank you so much for listening. Put the likes up.